In the last segment, we talked about the Me Too backlash. And boy, do I talk about it a lot. You know why? A lot of data seems to show there's a big backlash to Me Too. We have another story here, though, that's in a similar vein. From The Guardian, university lowers entry score for female applicants in male-dominated courses. University of Technology Sydney makes 10-point adjustment in hope to address gender imbalance in engineering, computing, and construction. This is one of the most absurd things I've ever read. They don't seem to understand these things are completely unrelated. The reason women aren't going into STEM is likely because of their personal choices. Now, if you want to argue society is pressuring women to choose jobs, I'm listening. Let's bring the argument up. If you're arguing that women are incapable and so you have to lower their score, you are a bigot. I don't believe, for the most part, because intelligence averages across the board are almost identical for men and women. I don't believe the reason there are very few women in STEM is because they're not smart enough. I think it's because you need to encourage them to join. But here we can see how they actually feel. They actually just think the issue is that women are dumb. You know, I will stress though, maybe it's because they looked at the data and found that, they have 30 female applicants and they just score too low. So we'll read the story because maybe they'll get into this. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the data actually shows women tend to score worse than men. But I don't think the issue is necessarily biological. It's really easy to look at a base characteristic of someone and assume that's the reason, instead of digging into the root and trying to figure out if there's something else, namely society. When women are young, are they encouraged to go to STEM or are they told to play with dolls? That could play a role. Now, I'm not trying to make the far left, only social construct argument. I'm saying we need to know all the factors, and it is possible that plays a role. But it's absurd to me that they're going to play this game of, well, we need to lower our standards. You lower your standards? No, I'm sorry. That is not equality. That is pandering. So, before we read the story, I'm going to do something I rarely do. I have a sponsor for today's video, Virtual Shield. They are my first sponsor, and they're basically the only company I ever really promote because they've stood by me the entire time. And this channel, almost every single video is demonetized every single day. So for Virtual Shield to step up and get behind me, I'm eternally grateful. If you're not familiar, Virtual Shield is a virtual private network service. That means while you're browsing the web, they give you a basic level of security that I actually think is a good idea. The way I describe it is we don't expect people to break into our houses, but we do put locks on our windows and doors. If somebody really wants to break in, they'll just, batter your door down. But it's always good to have that basic level of security to stop intruders. And that's what a VPN does. It protects your data, your privacy. It can stop government actors and hackers it can make it harder for them if they really want to try to go after you. And it will stop many of the lower grade intrusions you might experience. Go to hidewithtim.com. There's a 20% off special. I really appreciate you guys hearing out this sponsor spot because I will stress, Virtual Shield was my first sponsor, and that really does mean a lot to me. I've gone through ups and downs on YouTube. There are threats of demonetization every day, and that's why I periodically will give a shout out to Virtual Shield and very few others. But again, hidewithtim.com. Get yourself a VPN, $4 a month, and it's a basic level of security. It's 20% off, and check it out. You'll learn more. Just hidewithtim.com. Back to the news. They say, the University of Technology Sydney is trying to encourage more young women to study engineering, computing, and construction degrees by adjusting Year 12 entry scores for female participants. The university has received approval from the, New South Wales, NSW, Anti-Discrimination Board. Wait, Anti-Discrimination Board? To make a 10-point adjustment to the Australian tertiary admission rank of female students applying for those degrees for the 2020 academic year. I'm sorry, if you have a special class that assumes women are dumb, that's discrimination, not anti-discrimination. The university hopes it will address gender imbalances in those male-dominated industries. UTS Women in Engineering and IT Director Arti Agarwal insisted the move would not lower standards. We're not taking in underperforming students or doing tokenism here, she told The Guardian Australia. Nobody is getting a free pass. They all have to do all the degree requirements and internships. Okay, let me point something out to you. Let's say you create every program in the world to prop up people of color and women and those you deem to be marginalized. You say, we're going to lower the standards so they have a chance to get in. If someone scores, a 1,200 or whatever on the SATs, and someone else scores a 13, I actually don't know how the numbers work, so guess what? Even if they both graduate, guess who is going to be hired? the person who outperforms. Your degree is meaningless for the most part. I get it. You want to work in like a scientific field, then you probably need a degree to back it up. You want to be a lawyer, you got to pass the bar. You want to be a doctor, you definitely got to go to school. But for the average person, in a lot of these jobs, especially like coding and certain tech jobs, you don't need a degree. Degree might actually hold you back, but more importantly, if you can barely get into the program, that's something about you. I think these people, this makes sense. They don't seem to realize that people are different. Some people will be smarter, taller, faster, stronger. Nothing you can do about it. There are a lot of people in this world who have been dealt a really bad hand. Guys who are short with, crooked teeth and they're not that smart. Yeah, these things happen. And there are some guys who are born looking like Adonis. They've done nothing, but for some reason are 6'5" and super ripped and chiseled and smart. That's just the way it works. People are different. And if you start trying to change the program, you're not going to help the people. You'll just end up with someone not smart next to someone smart. They will both get a degree and a company will talk to them and say, I'm going to hire the smart guy. Congratulations, you've done nothing except assume women are dumb. They say, Agarwal said the move was part of the university's 30-year effort to improve gender equity in engineering. Equity, huh? They want equality of outcome, which includes primary school and high school outreach programs and mentoring for female engineers. We looked at the performance of ATAR and the performance of grade point average. So a lower ATAR, I don't know what that means, did not mean they would get a lower GPA. A higher ATAR did not mean they were best in class. Agarwal, is this like an Australian thing? I don't know. Or maybe I'm just really dumb. That's possible too. She noted a large number of engineering students gained entrance into the undergraduate degree through other pathways, which often were lower than the 12-year ATAR minimum score. What does that mean, like SAT score? Agarwal said previously that on average, females received 4 to 8% of UTS offers to study mechanical engineering mechatronics. The university expects the score adjustment will increase female study offers by about 20%. Why would it increase offers? So let me get this straight. You get them in the program, and they say, I got into the program, and you go, oh yeah, isn't that program that lowered standards, that made it easier to get in? Look, all that really matters is the company is going to talk to the people, and guess what? It's like, if you ever see those coin sifters where you can pour like all the random change into it, and then it slides down into like a tray and you shake it, and it separates all the coins into different slots. Or better yet, they have like the automatic one where you pour the coins in and it spins. You know how that works? It's because the right size coin can only go in the right size hole. And it starts small and goes to big, so the quarter glides over the smaller holes. The point I'm trying to make is that same process is what will happen here. No matter how smart the women are, it doesn't matter if they have a degree. If you take nation-level statistics and take a bunch of women and a bunch of men, and you're not seeing women enter the program, when you shake the sieve really hard, guess what? More of the guys are going to fall through and find those programs than women, because that's what's happening. And simply saying we're going to lower the standard for women won't change that. Because when it comes to the business, they're going to choose the smart person. And if you're scoring better on the tests, you will likely perform better in other places. Now, it's also true some people might just be better at, being personable. And you can trick your way into getting a job. But again, I got to stress, when it comes to negotiating, it tends to be guys who are more, slick or arrogant, which plays into their favor. I'm not going to read the stats on engineering and all that stuff, but let's move on. They say we need Engineers Australia's professional diversity manager, Justine Romanis, backed the UTS move. We need to be disruptive. What we have been doing to date is just not working. I wonder why, and I wonder why they think this will work. She said to attract more females to engineering, it was important to plant the seeds early with research backing career discussion with children as young as 4. Now that I agree with. Virginia Singh, who studied a double degree in mechanical engineering and science at Deakin University and now works in the defense industry, does not think it's a good idea. There were 2 female students in her mechanical engineering course. Singh's father and brothers are also qualified engineers. I don't necessarily think that it's the score stopping females from joining engineering. There's more so a stigma associated with it or STEM in general. There's a perception that you need a strong STEM and technical background, and although you need that, most of the day-to-day work is soft skills as opposed to technical calculations every day. The UTS announcement has attracted some criticism on social media, like it is now. Someone said, as a woman, I'm offended. This move reinforces the myth that women are not as smart as men. Thank you. I agree. Many universities allocate adjustment points based on disadvantage or illness, but UTS Director of Women in Engineering, or IT, R.T. Agarwal, said she believed the university would be the first to base them on gender. So being a woman is a disability now? Yes, bad idea. If you think the best way to get more women into engineering is to lower the standards, aren't you kind of openly saying you think female engineers aren't as good as male engineers? Yes, that's exactly what they're doing. The issue is marketing. You want to get more women in STEM, advertise it, encourage it, and promote it. And if women make the choice and pass the test, there you go, you've solved your problem. However, just trying to make the numbers look good on paper, so you have to lower your standards, all you've really said here is that you think women are dumb. And I take offense to that. I believe that's not true. I believe that women just make different choices. And I think the data is clear that while there is a larger bell curve for genius men, on average, men and women are of the same intelligence. And that's coming from Jordan Peterson. So you know what? I'll leave it there. One more segment coming up in a few minutes, and I will see you all shortly.